All right. Well, I have absolutely no clue what just happened there. So we're going to try that again. If they take it down again, then we know what it is. But you know, I guess you know, it happens. um and I don't know. Maybe you have to pre-record reactions or something like that. But what I guess I will do is pick up from where I left off, and hopefully YouTube won't snipe the shite out of me, because poop doth happen, right? So I don't know where we last. What's up, Jill? I mean, what's going on, Malik? And yeah, poop does happen. I don't know why they sniped that, but it is what it is. So salute to those who are returned. Salute to those who are returning, coming back. Thank you for rocking with me. I'm going to keep going. And if they snipe me again, then we'll know what it is. As far as I thought, I was following the rules. But, you know, sometimes maybe, you know, there is extra security or what have you. So the only way to do that is to, like Rick Roth said, push it to the limit. So let's keep going here. I didn't see anything. Let me check my emails, I guess. I don't know. I really, yeah, it says here, your YouTube streams are interrupted when copyrighted content is detected. After copyrighted material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. Okay. All right. Well, what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. So we're here. I'm gonna keep my face on the side. Maybe that would change things, right? I thought you could react to things in live time, but c'est la vie. Right. So where were we here? We were looking at this cup. You know what? Maybe I'll not do the full screen. Maybe that's it. I don't know. So here we go. Man sues lifelong friend for injuries, $425,000 case.
At the time of him moving in, we even switched over to his own personal code.
Showed him how to work it.
Showed him how to work it.
So, Mr. Williams.
Okay, hold on, because where's the door? This door.
This is your place, right?
This door, right, has, where is it?
Dollars in medical bills.
To go. So
when we
Oh, damn, I done passed it. Now, here we go.
Mr. Williams,
Has
you
this-
had a keypad and you knew how to work it. And
So he had a keypad and knew how to work it. That keypad
so
was
you
on
knew
that
there was a
raggedy
side
door.
door. True?
true,
I mean, you'd lived there for a little while. You
True.
weren't blind, right?
true.
Or there's also a keypad.
A working keypad?
A working
Not a working keypad.
that he had the code to, that at the time of him moving in, we even switched over to his own personal code.
Showed him how to work it.
Showed him how to work
So,
it.
Mr. Williams, you had a keypad and you knew how to work it. And it worked the garage door, right?
It did not work, Judge.
Did you tell him it didn't work?
I told him
So
I got
dude
evidence.
gets this automatic stupendous code with this here raggedy garage door. Why wouldn't they fix the garage door instead of putting this space age panel on? I don't know. But it is what it is. Sometimes it's also a work in progress. So maybe it was less expensive up front for them to put in the space age panel. They did have a tenant who they thought was a responsible adult and wouldn't injure himself on a door that he already knew was rickety. And, eventually through him paying them rent, what have you, they would fix that door. So let's continue.
So when he says it didn't work, then he's only got one way to get out, and that's the side door, right?
Well, I forgot the code.
And he forgot the code.
That's why it didn't work, Your Honor.
It worked when we signed the
because
note.
So you forgot the code.
I will say this, Judge. I forgot the code, but it's survival mode. When you see something, you got to go. So, yeah, I forgot the code.
So
perfect timing. What's going on?
Survival mode?
Correct. I had to get out of it.
Couldn't you have just gone out of the side door?
Thank you, Your Honor.
But, Judge, if the garage door would have been working properly when I moved in,
You would have scored.
scored all day. Touchdown.
Now, Mr. Williams, I see that you have incurred $300,000 in medical bills.
Salute the sheep,
Yes,
stay
that's a
asleep for
lot
sharing
of
my
money.
stuff.
I'm in a lot of pain.
Tell me what you've been through.
Basically, I've been injured at the disc herniation from C4 to C6, upper part of my back.
Yes, sir.
It's changed my life.
So he got a bunch of
It's
injuries
involved
here.
every day. It's in pain right now.
To further understand the nature and severity of your injuries, Mr. Williams, I've invited Dr. Karen Flood to come and explain from a medical perspective what you're going through. Dr. Flood, would you stand and step to the monitor and tell me what this is from a medical perspective?
You see the way he eyeing down old girl though, yo? He was giving her
Doctor,
the
can you
business with them
explain the
eyes.
extent
Hold up.
And tell me what this is from a medical perspective. Doctor, can you explain the extent of the plaintiff's injuries, of Mr. Williams' injuries?
Yes, Your Honor. When the garage door struck the claimant in the back of the neck, it caused him injury to his cervical spine. This is an image of the cervical spine, the bones of the neck. They line up like little boxes. Between each of those is the disc, and this cushions each of those little vertebral bodies and allows you, as you bend your neck forward and backwards, to absorb some of that shock. In his case, he damaged these discs at a couple different levels. That comes out and pushes on all the nerves that go out to the rest of your body.
So how do you repair such a thing?
Well, in this case, you actually need to take out that damaged disc. I've got a video for that.
Surgery.
Yes.
Whoa, so dude actually has big time injury there. His cervical spine and where it takes the impact of the neck, that actually sounds more like an old football injury that might have got reactivated, right? Maybe you could argue that, but she says she got to take out part of his spine. So $425K might not be a whole ton of money. We got She back in the building. Salute, salute. We got Uncle Stu, the old man on the block, back in the building. Salute, salute. So again, let's continue now. He's got some serious injuries here. So maybe he's not pranking, but I'm mad the dude looked like he about to go play basketball. He got the whole headband on.
Surgery.
You see what y'all doing to me?
Doc, explain what this depicts.
So this depicts taking the disc out from between those vertebral bodies, between those boxes of bone, putting a spacer of bone in between those. You can either take those from your own hip or from a donor, and then you're going to put a plate on the front and screw in a series of screws to hold that plate in place to allow this to fuse into one piece of bone to support those nerves and help prevent from further damage.
So what's his prognosis after this hardware is put in?
Well, it depends how bad it is. Because of the pressure on the nerves, you can get damage that causes numbness into your hands. You can get weakness of your arms. You can get some chronic pain that can be persistent even after surgery. And of course, you'll have some stiffness up your neck.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, what numbness, things in your arms, you experiencing any of that?
Numbness, sharpness, tightness.
Is this every day?
Well, he did say he was in pain. He did say he was in pain right now. So that's a plausible thing, right? Now, again, we're going to get to the money part of it because poop being paying out of pocket, right? So he's in court right now suing them. So it's likely, even if they had homeowners insurance, that it wasn't quite enough to pay his medical bills. Or maybe they didn't even put in a claim and they do have quite enough to pay his medical bills, but he didn't go about it the right way and he paid out of pocket and caught a medical bill. Now that he has the medical bill, he's going back saying, hey, somebody got to pay for this.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you wouldn't want that to happen to your buddy or simply just a tenant.
Anyone.
You're right, Your Honor.
But you believe it's his fault.
Absolutely, Your
Yes, sir.
Honor.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, you all said that you had Mr. Williams sign a lease.
Yes,
that
Your
you
Honor.
signed
Absolutely.
to formalize this relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you bring that lease with you?
Absolutely.
Sheriff Matt, will you retrieve that lease?
I have it right here.
Now, Mr. Williams, you remember signing a lease, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I see here on item number 17, tenant is responsible for lawn, trash, windows, garage, air conditioning, lavatories, sinks, toilets, glass, and doors.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Williams, you understood that you had certain responsibilities to maintain the property.
Yes, Your Honor. But,
So why didn't you get this garage door fixed?
well, Your Honor, I did send Mr. Harris a text telling him about.
So he did need to get the garage door
wasn't
fixed.
working.
But here's the thing, especially when you're renting from someone, it's not your responsibility to upgrade their home. And if you do things like improve their home by completely fixing a garage door, that's outside of the realm of your responsibility. Now, again, this is more on if you're just renting, but again, he has it in the lease. But it is kind of vague because it doesn't quite tell you. It says he's responsible for, the windows, the doors. Okay, generally, one would assume that's for the cleanliness of it, because how much does it cost to replace an entire garage door? That's a costly thing. That's something that I would think, my landlord would deal with. Okay, I'll handle it. Hey, landlord, this window is broken. It's going to cost XYZ dollars. I'm not going to pay for it because it's not my property. But I'll tell you about it as if that's part of my lease. Right? I don't think anybody would, in their right mind, do nothing like renovate their apartment for their landlord, right? And then get basically nothing out of it. Because you fix up that garage door and then they kick you out and get more rent because now the house looks nicer. Cynical thinking.
Did you get that text?
I did. I even responded.
And I told him I couldn't pay.
Now, even though this is your responsibility, you wanted him to
Right,
pay
what's
for it.
going
I
on?
didn't have the money. I told him I couldn't pay. He agreed to it. I have something to.
Well,
Once again, Your Honor,
Let's
I'm
take a
helping
look
him
at
out.
the text. Let's take a look at the text that you submitted to the court. Mr. Harris, you're in the red, right?
Yes, sir.
And you wrote, how much are you able to pay for the garage door, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You expected him to pay something.
As per the
As he agreed. Yes. Your
Okay.
Honor.
Now, in the gray, it says, after all I've been through, I cannot afford it right now. That's what you wrote, Mr. Williams.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then in response, Mr. Harris, you said, okay, I got it. What did you mean by that?
I just meant I understood him, Your Honor. I know what he's going through. I feel like I'm his friend.
Understood.
I try to bail him out and take care of him as much as I can. So when I said, okay, I got it, I mean, I understand what
What
you're
did
going
you think
through.
he meant?
I got it covered. That's what it says.
So you thought he was going to pay for
I
it?
mean, yes. Yes, Your Honor.
I think he's just used to me taking care of him.
That meant that
Your
we
Honor,
weren't
he saw
going to
you-
pressure you into
Now, Mr.
trying
Harris,
to fix it.
Mr. and Mrs. Harris, here's the legal lesson in this case. When you all sign a lease, a written lease, as the law requires you to do when you lease a place, you all got into a contractual relationship. This is a binding legal agreement where both of you have responsibilities to each other to make sure that this works out right. You were responsible to take care of the property. You were responsible to pay for this door. I know that you had texted.
So hold up, Balika, real quick, right where it says his wife was mad at that text, right? The Judge Million from People's Court always say You say it, forget it, but you write it, you regret it, right? So that's why it's always good to have paper trails of things so that, excuse me, you can always have a record of transactions. Says, I would think that I would be fixing it if I broke it. Well, yes, if you broke it, then yes. But if it was raggedy like that when he moved in, or if it just broke through regular use, then maybe not. Let me run that back a little bit for you.
You have responsibilities to each other to make sure that this works out right. You were responsible to take care of the property. You were responsible to pay for this door. I know that you had texted Mr. Harris about paying for the door because you couldn't. Y'all, you were very specific in the lease, but real unclear as to what was going to happen with the door. You see that in hindsight, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So both of you all knew that the garage door was kind of ragged, right?
Yes,
But the lease determines your legal responsibilities, and we cannot lose sight of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Gentlemen, Mrs. Harris, I think that I have heard enough, and I am ready to render my decision.
Oh, snap. It's judgment time. Absalom, what's going on, Brody? OG Patrice in the building. How you doing?
Mr. Williams, from the evidence that you presented today, you suffered an incredible life-altering injury. Now, I understand your friend is doing a good job for you. You had those running back kind of reminiscence about getting under the garage door, and you tried to make it and it did not work out. You also thought from that text that Mr. Harris was going to fix the door. So the evidence indicates that you kind of assumed that the door was okay. Unfortunately, the move you made left you on the garage floor with the door on the back of your neck. You all did him a great favor in allowing him to stay at your home, provided, as provided in the lease, that he did some repairs and kind of took care of it. You gave him a break, he gives you a break. Y'all had no idea that he was going to be injured like this. The reality is, though, that the law requires that everyone be responsible for what they contractually agreed to. In a personal injury case, there are three things that must be proven. You, Mr. Williams, have to prove that the Harrises were wrong and that their wrong caused your injuries. Clearly, you were injured because of that garage door. But the wrong is what is ticklish for me. Here, you had some choices about going under the door. Mrs. Harris, you made the point that he could have gone out the side door, and you could have. That would have been reasonable and safe. You all, on the other hand, you knew that this door was in bad shape. You also kind of knew he didn't have the money to fix the door. He's in the midst of a divorce. I find here that there was wrong, but it was shared. That is, you took a chance that you had to pay a price, a dear price, a terrible price. You all did not have your property in good shape, and therefore you're both wrong. But I do not find, Mr. Williams, that you are 50% wrong. I find you 49% wrong. And in that regard, I'm going to reduce your claim. In this case, you are asking for $425,000. In reducing your award by 49%, I award you $216,750 against the Harrises.
What?
That is my final decision, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Judge.
Our attorneys across America.
Wowzers. So he got half, right? $216K. Now, I want to definitely check out the resolution of this. However, let's take a look at something. Right now, there are two parties at fault, and we're talking about things like liability. Now, right here, we got a whole bunch of money at hand, right? And that is one hell of a judgment, right? But how could they both have absolved or protected themselves? She said, look, hey, NC Worker, I hope you listening. But both of them had shared responsibility, but how could they have thought in certain realms of identifying and protecting their lifestyle? Because again, poop happens. So somebody coming out of their pocket, right? And because he's 49% and he wants 400,000 and got half, 216, guess who's coming out of the pockets? The Harrises, right?
America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Chad Dudley has to say.
There's an interesting aspect to this case. Even though Mr. Williams was friends with the plaintiff, he still required the final deeds that memorialize the terms of the rent and the obligations and responsibilities of both parties. This is always the wise thing to do, especially when the act is between family members or friends. Legally protect yourself just as you would with strangers.
So Shorty is hyper mad, I'm going to assume, right? She gotta be, because hold on, where was that? So they suing for 4 and change, right? And he gave them what, 216?
Canton, you had to pay a price, a dear price, a terrible price. You all did not have your property in good shape, and therefore you're both wrong. But I do not find, Mr. Williams, that you are 50% wrong. I find you 49% wrong. And in that regard, I'm going to reduce your claim. In this case, you are asking for $425,000. In reducing your award by 49%, I award you $216,750 against the Harrises.
What?
That is my final decision, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Judge.
Our attorneys.
So homeboy got 216 bands off of them, right? Now, the wife is highly upset, and I'd be highly upset, and I'm sure if I got sued for that much money, of course, and had to pay it, my wife would be highly upset too. Shit, I'd be mad myself, wouldn't we all? But again, we know that poop happens. So when we know poop happens, we have to find ways that we can protect ourselves from that unexpected happening. And one of the ways that both of them could have protected themselves, and one way I would recommend everyone who is a homeowner, or not just a homeowner, but a landlord or a property owner, to require their tenants to have specific things. Well, he could have protected himself through having a simple renter's insurance policy. And that could have been about 20 to 40 bucks a month. And you see, they came to Louisiana to get that advice. That is my state. I already know. The wife is ready to divorce right then and there. But here's a real cool thing that could have been done to have protected themselves, right? So for starters, the renter could have had a simple renter's insurance policy. Like I said, that could have been maybe 40 bucks a month, right? For that 40 bucks, he could have gotten liability or personal injury protection, and there's different ways you can actually customize these policies. But it'll pay for things like medical payments. And of course, the more money that they're going to provide for you, the higher the premium is. But this is why it's important not to get caught in quick commercials when it says stuff like 15 minutes or less can save you 15% or more. It's great to save 15%, right? You save $2.76 a month off of your car insurance policy, or your, in this case, renter's or homeowner's insurance policy. But you avoid getting things like personal injury protection or medical payments. Then you get in this situation where you're injured and you have to do something like sue your friend. Now, I'm not saying that a small renter's insurance policy would have completely covered all of his expenses. Likely not, because you're not renting something that's, that expensive. It's not like he was paying, living in a, $20,000 a month penthouse, right? He was living in something with a trashy garage, right? So in that sense, no, he didn't, he wouldn't have completely, indemnified himself. That was the word I was looking for. No, he would not have been completely indemnified. However, maybe he would have been in a substantially better position where maybe he didn't have to sue, his close friend who was looking out for him, right? Or the next step, his close friend who was looking out for him did get in a lease agreement with him. So obviously he's familiar with being a property owner. And in that sense, well, he does or should have a homeowner's insurance policy. Now, the difficulty becomes, well, what if I don't have a home that's worth, $215,000. So I don't have homeowners insurance that covers $215,000. Well, again, that's why it's actually beneficial to learn or do reviews on simply things like your auto or your homeowner's insurance. Because in this case, if they have homeowners insurance, you have liability protection. So the liability protection generally has nothing to do with your property protection. So even though you have property protection in your homeowner's insurance, you also have liability protection. So that liability protection can be $300,000, which is normal. That's generally the average that people will put. But in terms of saving premium, people always cut your coverages. And so they'll cut your coverage limits, and that's how you'll get the best, lowest prices. Generally, you'll see that whenever you get quoted some super duper low, great price, and you're like, damn, I just went to the other State Farm up the block and they gave me a much more expensive price. Couple reasons. One, they know how to manipulate the software. So what do? They give you the great low price because they give you the great limited coverages. And you don't care because all you hear is, yeah, so you got full coverage and you got this, and then yeah, I don't care. I got full coverage. Yeah, okay, I could go drive. Yeah, okay, see you later. And then you're gone. And then you do something like this, and you have something like this situation, and boom, you're you asked out because you ain't got the money in your policy. So you want to look at your limits of liability. I might have to find some. Let me check my Google really quick. I want to check my drive and see if I still have. It might be the business policy though, which has different language in it, but it's still similar. Let me see something. Bear with me, y'all. I'm trying to pull up here we go. Yes, perfect. So it is a little different document because it's a business policy. It's not a a homeowner's policy, but this will give you kind of an idea. Yeah, I can show this. Okay, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this is perfect. All right, so I'm going to share this with us because this is great. Oh, Mr. Awesome, what's going on? Bronze Beard in the building. All right, who else is fresh up in here? All right, y'all keep it going in the chat. Let me share this with us while I'm at it, because this document makes a whole lot of sense. All righty. So, can I increase this? Here we go. All right, so this is a policy that I got in a business some years ago. So if you'll notice here, general liability. So we're not gonna, they have the general aggregate of 2 million, and then 1 million of products, right? But that's not what I want to look at. What I want to look at is what would be on your homeowner's policy. So in your homeowner's policy, you see here he has personal, well, he also has advertising injury, but personal injury. So if you're a homeowner and you have landlord's homeowner policy, it's going to be a little different than just a lived-in home. So you are going to have a little more of a commercial type where you have personal injury available. Now, depending on the amount you buy, the amount of liability coverage that you buy has nothing to do with the cost or price of your home. It has to do with what you think will happen if someone gets injured. For example, again, here you see medical payments. So if somebody gets injured on their premises, like this gentleman, and they need him to pay medical payments, they're going to give a maximum of $5,000. But again, if they get sued further for that, and he gets the claim and it's a personal injury claim, he has up to $1 million. Okay, so obviously he's going to go through that $5,000 real fast if they charging $1,000 for a damned aspirin. Right? Close that down. Says the screen is fuzzy. Oh crap. All right. Yeah, please show brother some love there. Let me try that one more time. I guess I'll share that screen and see if it's not too fuzzy, because I do want y'all to see that. But it's also a little bit of an older document that, let me see here. Do I have another? I'm trying to find a homeowner's policy. That I know where I can find one. Where the heck? Okay, that's that one. Bear with me, y'all. I know I got another homeowner's policy in here somewhere, so I might just have to do a blank one. Core forms. Is a personal auto. Core forms. Core rundown. Did I get rid of all the Accord 80 homeowners? Here we go. Perfect. So, here we go. Wiley in the building. Did I open the document? Hold on, I didn't open the document. What happened? Okay, I don't know what happened there. So I'll try that one more time because it, for some odd reason, decided not to share. Oh, here we go. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. This is an accord form. So this is the form that every insurance company has to legally use across the country for your car or homeowner's insurance. They have their own, but in some variation, there's certain codes and numbers that they have to use, especially if they're replacing. Obviously, there's, blase blah information, the pertinent information. But what we want to talk about here is some very specific stuff. So again, here, I want to see how large that screen looks. It's still fuzzy. I don't know. I can't really get it to be much better. It's a PDF. Oh, you know why it's fuzzy? Because I'm enlarging it. Because, see, if I leave it low, see, that's the problem. I can't. If I enlarge it, it gets a little fuzzier. Let me see. Can I highlight this stuff? Let me see what it looks like highlight. Yeah, it is fuzzy as shit. Let me see something. Well, I'll figure something out one of these days, but for now, we're going to have to build this as we fly. All right. So, if you'll see location number, what have you, right? And then it says coverages / limits of liability, right? Now, obviously here, there's the pertinent information. We're going to get their applicant's name, date of birth, social, the marital status, their primary home information, secondary, previous address, the years there, their employer's name and address, how long they've been there, co-applicant, same information, right? And their years of occupation, right? Years with prior employers, right? They're also going to do things like, obviously, if it's new, a renewal or a policy change, but they're also going to say, hey, some companies will have the agent actually come out to your property. Like when I was with State Farm, I used to actually go to motherfuckers' houses to inspect them. I did not like doing that shit. I'd rather have somebody who does that do that. And then how long have you, as the producer, known the applicant? Yeah, I might have known you for 15 years. Right? So, now we're looking at our coverages and our limits of liability. Because again, poop happens. And we're going to look at protecting our pockets. All right? We're also going to look at opportunity funds later. But so here you have your coverages. And then you have the limit. And then you have the premium. Okay, there's also what coverage, right? There's coverage options, limits, and then the premiums for that. So each and every little tick and tack is why your insurance costs more than your next door neighbor who has the exact same year, make, model, and trim of vehicle that you have, and the exact same amount of miles, and in the same color. So, when you're looking at dwelling is the 4 walls, right? So obviously, more than 4 walls, but the physical house itself. So that's only if you were to take the house, turn it upside down and shake it out. Everything that stays inside of that house or doesn't fly to what would now be the floor, which would be the ceiling, is the dwelling. Those 4 walls. And you can actually, we always tell you to replace that cost for full value. You can also do, generally, to make it much cheaper for you, the agent will give you what's called ACV. Well, that's full value, actual cash value. but they'll give you reduced value, right? Or depreciated value, which can be difficult because a brick in 2020 might cost $17, but a brick in 2035 might cost $72. So other structures, what are other structures? So Snuggles in the building. Other structures are things like a she shed, right? You know that State Farm commercial. She's got a she shed. Well, yeah, here we go. Includes dwelling, other structures, personal property, loss of use, right? So other structures. Oh, that's the blanket coverage. That's why that has that asterisk. So the other structures. So this could be a way that, let's say, the guy damaged his garage. He could actually, because they damaged his garage, somebody ran into it with a car, he could protect that garage and have it fixed for whatever limit of money. So the dwelling, let's say the house is worth $250,000. So he gets $250,000 limit. So if the house burns to the ground, they're going to give him a check for $250K to rebuild it. But it might cost more to rebuild it than the house sold on the market, right? The house might be on the market for $250,000, but it costs $350,000 to actually rebuild it, especially at the time that it's rebuilt. That's why they say full value. Same thing with other structures. So personal property is all your shiznit, right? All your personal belongings, your cell phone, your underwear, your lotion, your soap, right? Personal property. Now, here's the thing. When you're a homeowner, personal property does not fall down to your tenant. So your tenant be like, I don't need a renter's insurance policy because my landlord got homeowner's insurance. No. Your landlord has homeowner's insurance for your stuff, for their stuff. So as a landlord, your personal property is the stuff that you have in there, like appliances, right? Because you're not going to have your shit at somebody else's house, right? If you're renting to them, I'm not keeping my stuff there. I don't live there. I just use that as an income property. So personal property that is yours is stuff that doesn't leave when your tenant does. So, again, that's things like the washer, the dryer, the air conditioner unit, the stove, the refrigerator, the dishwasher. Now, if you are, maybe you're a little more luxurious with your tenants, and you give them a furnished apartment. Well, then your furniture would be personal property, right? Now, what I wanted to talk about was really important here, which was the medical payments for each person and the personal liability for each occurrence. So, the medical payments, like you saw on the $1 million business policy, were only $5,000, right? So if somebody gets injured, they're only going to get $5K from if they come to you and you put in a claim. So maybe you allow them to sue you, or you offer up the $5K, and then they're like, well, that's not enough, so I need to go back. So you have personal liability, and it says each occurrence, right? Because you might have more than one occurrence of some shite happening, right? So personal liability has nothing to do with this here dwelling. Now, how will a lot of agents make your stuff cheaper? Well, they got, a $250,000 house. We're going to do a $250,000 dwelling. We're going to do $250,000 worth of liability. But let's say their house was only $150,000. I know a lot of places where houses are a little bit cheaper, right? So if that house is, let's say the house is $200,000. So they have a maximum of $200,000 dwelling. If the house burns down, they're going to get $200,000 back. But if that guy get injured and they gave him $5,000, but then there's another 216,000. That's 200,000 they gave there, but they're still what, 11,000 short. So they still got to come out of pocket 11 grand. So, in that instance, do you think that wife was happy? Nah. In fact, let me just run that back real quick. I want to see that last portion of him owning or owing those funds, because that was crazy. I think he was surprised. He was like, "Oh snap! He gave me the judgment for half of the word. Oh, we litty."
You, Mr. Williams, have to prove that the Harrises were wrong and that their wrong caused your injuries. Clearly, you were injured.
Now, another crazy thing is if they was lit, that's actually unfortunately an ill way to do insurance fraud. Outside of his injury, if he didn't have that injury, that's kind of an ill scheme.
Because of that garage door. But the wrong is what is ticklish for me. Here, you had some choices about going under the door. Mrs. Harris, you made the point that he could have gone out the side door, and you could have. That would have been reasonable and safe. You all, on the other hand, you knew that this door was in bad shape. You also kind of knew he didn't have the money to fix the door. He's in the midst of a divorce. I find here that there was wrong, but it was shared. That is, you took a chance that you had to pay a price, a dear price, a terrible price. You all did not have your property in good shape, and therefore you're both wrong. But I do not find, Mr. Williams, that you are 50% wrong. I find you 49% wrong. And in that regard, I'm going to reduce your claim. In this case, you are asking for $425,000. In reducing your award by 49%, I award you $216,750 against the Harrises.
What?
That is my final decision, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Judge.
Our attorneys across America just...
Wow. Yeah, that 216K, that's a hard hit, right? So that's with, again, that property and casualty. Now, I told you we're also going to have a little bit of talk about something called an opportunity fund, right? So I do want to share with y'all a brief little article. I'm going to probably just read a few excerpts from it and finish it out later. But I do think, she said, you heard her say, what? She did too. She was like, yo, what? Yeah, she was tight. But I'm going to share something else with y'all that I think in terms of opportunity funds will be interesting. And yo, again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like, drop the comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share. Lastly, if you're enjoying the stream and you'd like to contribute to channel growth, my information is usually in the description. It'll be in the playback. If you'd like to purchase life insurance directly up to $1 million with an instant decision and no medical exam, or to schedule a one-on-one appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description. So, as I proceed to continue and read, bear with me 1 second. This is frustrating. I hate when I have to bounce between too many, what's the names? Here we go. Okay, so this is a guide to self-directed IRAs. And you know, I talk about these often as well. Here's what you can invest in, and here's how to open an account. Okay, so it says self-directed IRAs allow you to invest in almost anything that's investable. You're not limited to the standard investments such as stocks or bonds. You can invest in a variety of alternative assets that typically fall outside of what most financial institutions are able to handle. Here are the key things to know about self-directed IRAs and where some investors might get tripped up. So, I definitely often talk to you guys about a self-directed IRA real estate. There's actually really not too many broker dealers who deal with them. And it's crazy. But that's one of the many ways that you can actually self-direct a retirement account. Okay, so a self-directed IRA is like a typical IRA in almost every way, with the major difference being what it can invest in. Investors can choose between two major types: a traditional IRA, and this type of IRA allows you to invest cash on a pre-tax basis, meaning that you may be able to avoid paying taxes on any contributions. You'll be able to grow your investments tax deferred. When you withdraw money at retirement, defined as age 59 and a half or older, you'll pay tax on the withdrawals as ordinary income rates. However, there's also the Roth IRA. This type of IRA allows you to invest cash on an after-tax basis, meaning that you'll pay taxes on any contributions before they go into the account. You'll be able to grow your investments tax-free. And when you withdraw your money in retirement, you won't be subject to any taxes on the withdrawals. Regardless of which kind of IRA you choose, your annual contribution is capped. For 2022, the maximum annual contribution to your IRA is $6,000. Some featured investing products of February 2022. We've got Advisor Match, Marcus Millichap, Fidelity Interactive, Fidelity and Stash. Okay. Where were we here? So, if you're looking for someone else to manage your IRA, you can hire a human advisor or a top robo-advisor to make decisions for you. They'll determine a portfolio strategy and invest in typical financial assets like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs, among others. That assortment of assets can offer you a diversified portfolio that can offer strong long-term profits. But if you're looking for a self-directed IRA, you want to make the investment decisions yourself. And here's where the self-directed IRA really allows you to go anywhere. So, a self-directed IRA can invest in assets that are well beyond the traditional that you're used to. The stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs that you can use in a traditional or a Roth. Excuse me. So a self-directed IRA can invest in the usual range of financial instruments, but it also allows you to invest in alternative assets, such as private stocks, real estate, such as a house, limited partnerships, cryptocurrencies, commodities, precious metals such as gold, and crowd-funded assets such as loans. Now, the thing about it is the majority, all of these are speculative, highly speculative. Well, not private stock, because private stock is very safe. And real estate is probably why I talk about self-directed IRA real estate so often, is because real estate often is going to appreciate much faster than a retirement account in most instances. Okay. Now, there are some instances where, you get places that, like Detroit, Michigan, that was a boon in America. And then, all the auto manufacturers left, and now people are struggling for work. So the real estate, there's dilapidated homes all over the place because nobody can afford to live there. So they're leaving. Okay. But yeah, let's see. So the list of acceptable investments could go further if you can find an IRA custodian who's willing to work with you, right? Because despite the broad list of possibilities, the IRS does not allow you to invest your self-directed IRA in everything. It specifically forbids in investing in life insurance and collectibles, which it defines as art, antiques, rugs, gems, coins, stamps, and alcoholic beverages. Now, why would they tell you that you can't invest in, well, I know why they won't let you invest the life insurance, but that's another thing for another conversation. Generally, also, you can't actually self-direct your self-directed IRA. So how to set up a self-directed IRA? Let me just check out the, we got NC Worker back in the building. What's going on, brother? I hope you're taking notes. So how to set up a self-directed IRA, right? So if you're looking to set up a Go Anywhere self-directed IRA, you'll need to contact a custodian who specializes in these kinds of structures. Even the top brokers for IRAs don't usually offer the ability to invest in alternative investments, right? So again, you can't willy-nilly run your own self-directed IRA. And there's ways around that life insurance exclusion, like hedge funds, but we can talk about that in the future. Right? So first, you have to find a broker or a representative or a financial professional with whom is willing and or able to help you direct your self-directed IRA into the particular financial vehicle you're looking to invest in, right? So if you're looking to go into, again, crowdfunding or, precious metals or commodities or crypto, right? Maybe you got somebody who's into this and he's really into crypto. And you're like, listen, I want to get on the crypto wave and be like OBJ. I'm going to put, my life savings into my future retirement into this highly speculative thing. So maybe, you have what we call the time tolerance, right? Because when you're looking at risk tolerance, and I do want to do a better job of explaining it, but it's hard to do in a short, simple kind of burst. But when you're looking at risk tolerance, you don't want to just look at, okay, look, because I generally tell it to you like this. If you give me $10,000 and then tomorrow it's gone, are you okay with that, or is that going to harm you? Now, if you say, hey, I'm okay with that, and that's investing, then we move forward. But generally, most people are unable to absorb that. But it's a little deeper than that, because not only is that's part of risk tolerance, and again, it's much deeper. I'm just trying to give you the 30,000-foot view. You also have to look at your age and your aggressiveness in investing. Because if you can say, hey, listen, I can bounce back from that loss of 10 grand like nothing, or you know what, is going to hurt me, but I'm 26. So losing $10,000 at 26, I got a whole nother, in 10 years, I'll get that back. That's not a big deal. Or is it, I'm 58. Listen, I'm trying to retire in 7 years. So losing $10,000 is going to highly affect me, especially because it's my retirement account. Right? So those are a couple of things that you want to look at when you're looking at risk tolerance. All right? Nicer's in the building. What's going on there? What's a guan? So let's see, where was I here? So you got to find somebody who's, again, willing and able to invest in those particular investments. So you want to research self-directed IRA custodians, and you'll have to look for someone who supports the Go Anywhere self-directed IRA that allows those investments and those type of investments that you want to buy, right? So you're going to have to set up an account and pay any fees, right? So it says once you found a custodian that meets your needs, set up your account and pay the fees for establishing the account. Then you're going to make your contribution. Once you've created an account, you'll need to deposit money so that you're able to make investments, right? So you'll want to carefully consider whether the extra fees charged by a custodian make sense, especially if you're starting out with a small amount of money. Those who are rolling over a larger account can spread out those fees over their greater base of assets. So if you're starting with a smaller amount, and generally, smaller amount is considered $10,000 or less. Okay, generally the foothold is $10,000. Anything less, they generally don't consider. There are some carriers that will do as low as $5,000, but a lot of people don't particularly go to those carriers because when you're starting at $5,000, it's just hard for those interest rates or investments to make any sense when you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to push forward the investments. But again, so you'll want to carefully consider whether those extra fees charged by a custodian make sense, especially if you're starting out with a small amount of money. Those who are rolling over a larger account can spread over the fees over their greater base of assets. Okay, now it's talking about some pros and cons of a self-directed IRA. 1 second there. Let me take a swig of water. Man. I just missed a phone call. Oh, well. I'll call him back momentarily. What was I looking for here? Okay, I forgot, but such is life. I got thrown off by that phone call. So, bear with me there. Yes, I had to swig my water. That's what threw me off. So, the pros and cons of a self-directed IRA. So, a self-directed IRA can open up the investable world to you, but it's not without significant risks and downsides. There are also upsides. And again, there's very, very, very few people who are familiar with self-directed IRAs or willing to, not just willing, but also able, because just because there are financial professionals who are willing to provide you with a self-directed IRA, there are the channel issues of what's called the broker-dealer. So the broker-dealer is the company with which they place a lot of your investments. She said, money calleth. Yes, it doth. But one of those calls was my mother. Ironically enough, it's still a call about money, but it's about her money that I got to get right for her. Ironically enough, in her IRA, so she might be calling me about her self-directed IRA, which we haven't self-directed, is being managed by an insurance company. So, advantages of a self-directed IRA. So, complete control. Your success or failure depends on the investment selections that you make. Potentially higher returns. If you know a way to profit that's a bit off most investors' radar, you can take advantage of it, and you may earn higher rewards than in traditional investments. You'll also get the benefit of diversification. So non-traditional assets may provide diversification from regular investments that are offering your portfolio lower risks and higher returns. Now, they also can be more enjoyable, right? And here's a cool reason before they read it why I think they can be more enjoyable. Because even though financial advisors like me, have the fun of reading the markets and blah, 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 you can too, right? Now, just because you're able to read what I can read does not mean that you want to perform the tasks that I perform, right? Just because I know how to read music does not mean that I want to play in the Philharmonic, right? Symphony, right? Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because, if you get the opportunity to do something that prestigious, I'm sure you would take it. But, just because, like I said, just because I know how to read music doesn't mean I want to be in a rock band, right? So just because you know how to read these particular instruments, that doesn't even mean you might know exactly what to do with them. You might just say, hey, listen, I want you to invest in XYZ with my IRA, and I want to be able to control it. I understand that legally I have to have a custodian, but as my custodian and my fiduciary, you have to do what I tell you to do with my money. So do what I tell you to do with my money. And that's why it can be more enjoyable, right? Because stuff like even though I don't like crypto myself, I do think the fact that Wally, what's going on? I do think the fact that things like crypto are out there, it's giving people who were blocked an ability to learn this stuff, right? And what's wrong with learning it, right? And here's the reason, my theory behind that. I'd prefer a competent and qualified client, right? Because when you're competent and qualified, but you don't do what I do for a living, I'm your point of sale. And therefore, you come to me, you're like, hey, I'm competent and qualified. I know exactly what I want to buy. Here you go. It's just like it, for example, there's that stereotype of women going to the car dealership and being ignored because supposedly they don't know nothing about cars. But when the big beefy muscle guy comes in and wants to buy his Hellcat SRT, well, oh yeah, that's an easy sale. Hey, you want the Hellcat? Yeah, here's the Hellcat. I ain't got to tell him, hey, it's got the Hemi and the V8 there. What color you want? Do you want aftermarket parts? Okay. See you later, right? So when you're competent and qualified, it's a much better interaction between both the professional and the client, because the client can clearly and concisely communicate to the professional, this is what I'd like. And then the professional can clearly and concisely communicate to client, this is my recommendation based upon what you'd like. Now, in this particular situation, the client has full control. The professional just has to go, hey, what do you want? Now, with more investing choices, you may be able to invest in something that you enjoy more or that you have more knowledge of, right? It might not even be that you know all the stuff that I know, but maybe you know about classic cars and you want to invest in classic cars. Like I said, I'm not a car guy, right? I know that when you get in, you close the door, you put the key in the ignition, you push the start button. Some cars, you push the start button. It goes boom, right? If you've got, like an AMG, then it really growls. And then you drive off because you hit the blinker, you turn right, you pull out of your space, and then you're gone. That's it. But I don't know the ins and outs of the cars like that, right? Whereas some guy might be like, hey, you've got a a 592 block with the turbocharge, and you've got the extra calipers, and you've got the wrappings and so on and so forth. At any rate, so some disadvantages of a self-directed IRA. Again, complete control. Yes, complete control is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Your success depends completely on your choices. So you need to know what you're doing. Fees. Firms offering you access to alternative investments may charge significant fees, making it less cost-effective, even prohibitive, for smaller accounts to use them. Liquidity. If you're investing in traditional assets, you can sell them on virtually any day the market is open. Alternative investments, such as real estate, may take months or years to sell, and even then, you may not be able to do so. The need to take distributions. The lack of liquidity can create legal problems if you need to take distributions from your account in retirement. You may be forced to sell an asset when it's down just to meet a RMD, or required minimum distribution, for example. IRA rules on prohibited transactions. You must scrupulously follow the rules for your IRA, or you can run into a whole heap of IRS penalties. For example, if you invest in real estate, you may not use that property for your own interest. It is an investment. So you cannot reside in the property, or you break the rules. You're also not allowed to provide services to the IRA, including on real estate that you own. You fix that broken toilet yourself, you've just broken the rules. A self-directed IRA is like a third party that must cover everything. The IRS offers a list of other things that that qualify as prohibited transactions. Not only is living in the property yourself prohibited, but the actual terms in the paperwork of a self-directed IRA real estate are: the investor nor their immediate family may directly or indirectly benefit from the use of this property. Okay, I'll repeat that. The investor nor their immediate family may directly or indirectly benefit from the use of this property. So you can't, if you're investing in a certain, like a multi-family building, you can't move your family in there, right? You can't have them living there as a tenant, directly or indirectly. So they can't, even if you try to use their company for the you may be able to get around that loophole, but if, like, for fixing that toilet, because you didn't do it yourself, technically you did it with another company, and indirectly they benefited. If it's your immediate family, it may bend the rules. But that's why it's good to take a look at, your people can't live there. That's why it's good to take a look at the IRS list of other things that qualify as prohibited transactions. So, the bottom line, self-directed IRAs can make a lot of sense for certain type of investors who want and are able to do the extra legwork that's necessary to manage their own retirement account. But others will be deterred by the extra fees and general hassle of this process and are likely better off sticking to traditional financial investments, which offer a strong track record of solid returns and low costs. So again, there is a lot that goes with a self-directed IRA real estate. Again, I am a proponent of self-directed IRA real estates. Here, they do put a lot of cons to self-directed IRA. In general, not just self-directed IRA real estates, but a self-directed IRA. But again, so when I'll give you an example. I had a buddy of mine who's in California, black dude, and he does Forex, supposedly. And, you know, I showed him a quick investment of 25K. And he was like, I'd prefer to have control of my own. Now, knowing that he's not actually licensed like I am, I was like, well, you can't really, again, knowing what I know about self-directed IRAs, I was like, you have to find somebody who can do it. Now, hopefully he found somebody who could do it for him, and maybe he just chose them over me. Kudos to him, at least you're doing it. But, you know, you really don't have the option yourself of total complete control, because again, like it said here, you have to find an IRA custodian. So you'll need to find a custodian who supports the Go Anywhere self-directed IRAs. Now, not just that they support it, again, they have to be willing and able. So there's not just the willing, but there's also the and able, because if they are unable to support, excuse me one second, phone ringing again. So if they're unable to support your investment, it's not something that they'll be able to do. And again, most broker dealers are not doing that stuff. And then a lot of that stuff is speculative. Again, most self-directed IRAs are going to be with like hedge funds, right? And then they're going to have higher minimums that you're going to come into, right? So when you're looking at a hedge fund, generally you're also going to have what's called a lockup provision, right? So I'll spill it like this. For example, if I have the ADH Wealth Solutions hedge fund, and you know, everybody who comes in is coming in with a self-directed IRA, and my minimum is going to be 100K, and your lock-in provision is 1 year. So you have to invest that 100,000 with me for a minimum of 1 year in order to get into the hedge fund. However, I may make an exception. Hey, this is, you know, my best friend from 7 years old. Okay, then with a smaller account, right, I may charge a higher percentage fee because it's a smaller account, right? So again, that's what they're saying. You know, they're going to charge fees, right? Because traditional investments charge no fees, whereas, you know, top brokers who are going to do this process are going to have to, you know, charge fees. But what you get out of that is your control, etc., etc. Again, there's pros and cons to everything. Just like I don't like crypto, certain people don't like self-directed IRAs. But those fees are going to be more substantial on somebody who has a $50,000 account than who has a $100,000 account or $1 million account, because I'm able to draw more out of 10% of $100,000 than I am 10% out of $50,000. Right? So it's just simple equations there. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to wrap up. I've been going on for a little over an hour and some change. Oh, they got the featured products here. And I'll come back with some more stuff. Kind of on the investment side of stuff. We've got some more articles here. I might talk about the most and least expensive states to retire in, or we might look at, you know, Roth versus traditional IRAs, which is better, right? Well, wow, I didn't mean to click that. Well, it is what it is. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware anytime I release new content. And as always, share, share, share. Lastly, to contribute to channel growth, to purchase life insurance directly up to $1 million with an instant decision and no medical exam, or to schedule a one-on-one appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description. What's it say here? It says higher fees on a small company and lower fees on a big company. No. So it's higher fees on a smaller amount invested. The less money you invest, the more you get charged. The more money you invest, the less you get charged. This is generally how asset managers do their fee-based services, right? So say, Bronzebeard, you come to me and you have, $100 grand. Well, my fee is going to be, it might be 0.5% of your assets that I'm managing, right? Now, because you have less money, right? And you come with 50,000, instead of charging you 0.5, I charge you 1%, right? She says a bigger risk if you only put in a little. Well, yeah, it is a bigger risk, but it's more for me to manage, right? Because that smaller amount, number one, that doesn't grow my fund, right? In a hedge fund, you're ballooning multiple funds and you're investing in a multitude of different things. If you're looking at an alternative investment and I'm managing this money every day, I'd much rather manage $100,000 because when you do better, I do better, right? So if I get you a larger return on your $100,000, which I'm more likely to get a return on a larger investment than on a $50,000 investment, when I return to you, there's something called 2 and 20 fees. So that's 2% of your annual net worth and 20% of your capital gains. So I'd much rather get you a gain on $100,000 and charge you 20% of that than get you a gain on $50,000, because $50,000 does not even allow me to enter you into certain realms, right? Or it also may not allow me to diversify, right? I might have an ETF style approach to the self-directed IRA, and I might chop that 100,000 into slivers where I do, 10,000 here, 10,000 there, 10,000 there. Follow me? So at any rate, ladies and gentlemen, any more questions before I hop off? I'm about to go get me something to grub on. Make sure you support your interest. Hit that Cash App, ladies and gentlemen. It's across the screen. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. That was today's double episode of Poop Happens. I'm going to come back and do these a little bit more because I kind of like going live and interacting with my folks. And this personal injury court stuff is real because I can attach not only my knowledge of, life and financial products, but also property and casualty products, which are also life and financial products, ironically enough, right? But again, with that being said, wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And remember, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.